So now you've mentioned a couple of times you wanted to talk about the initiatives that Citi is engaging in. So let's talk about them. What's the role of financial institutions in tackling the racial wealth gap, and what specifically is Citi doing to address it?
Yeah, Jonathan, you got to take, or we should take a step back for a second and just perhaps talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today and the important
Mhm.
initiative that we launched back in September of 2020. We just recently acknowledged the 1 year anniversary, so to speak, of the horrific George Floyd murder. And we all can think back to where we were when that occurred and the impact that it had really around the world. And in many ways, it's that impact. And it's unfortunately not that it was a new type of event, but one that made it blatantly obvious and hard to avoid. And unfortunately, it's that impact that in some ways served as a catalyst for many corporations around the world, and certainly here in the US, to take a more proactive action, if you will, to try and drive change in this area. And it certainly was the case. That certainly was the case for Citi. In fact, I remember very clearly back to when that occurred and having a discussion with our then CEO about who was going to actually speak out on this from our leadership team. And we both decided to do that. And I reference that because it's taken that opportunity to speak out on the issue that led to our entire management team coming together and really having a discussion around what we could do as an organization to have a more substantive impact on trying to help close this racial wealth gap. And in fact, it wasn't just our city foundation that led this discussion or effort, but instead it was the business leaders that sat at the table and really tried to drum up the ideas that we thought would be most meaningful. And we came up with four goals that support or that underlie this $1 billion initiative. One was a goal of providing greater access to banking and credit to communities of color. The second was really investing or increasing our investment in Black businesses and Black owned businesses. And the third was expanding home ownership. We talked a little bit about that earlier among Black Americans. And the fourth was really what role can we play in advancing anti-racist practices across the financial service industry. And so those were the four and are the four goals that support this $1 billion initiative. We've made, I think, some very good progress around those four goals, but there's certainly a lot more to do.